What if I told you the moment you desperately want luxury is usually the moment you feel the least valuable inside? Think about that for a second. Don't answer too quickly, because by the end of this video, you're either going to completely disagree with me or realize you've been psychologically manipulated for years without noticing it. And honestly, most people won't even survive this conversation emotionally, because luxury is one of the only addictions society claps for. Nobody looks at a man buying a Rolex and says, "Careful, he might be emotionally dependent." Nobody looks at a girl obsessing over designer bags and says, "She's probably chasing validation." No, society calls it ambition, taste, success. But underneath all the black suits, private jets, champagne glasses, and perfectly edited Instagram stories, something much darker is happening, and you've probably felt it yourself before. That strange feeling when you see somebody richer than you online, that tiny emotional punch in your chest, like your life suddenly became smaller for a second. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe you're scrolling at night, you see some 22-year-old influencer stepping out of a matte black Lamborghini in Dubai. Perfect watch, perfect body, perfect lighting, and for a split second, your own room starts feeling depressing. Your goals feel slower, your clothes feel cheaper, your life feels behind. Now, here's the scary part. That reaction was not random. Your brain was trained for it. In fact, some luxury companies spend millions studying reactions exactly like yours. Not joking. There are people whose entire careers revolve around understanding what makes humans feel inferior and how to monetize it. That's luxury psychology. And once you notice it, you start seeing manipulation everywhere.
Look carefully at luxury ads. Have you ever noticed they almost never explain the product? Seriously? A normal company sells function. Luxury sells emotion. A normal watch brand says, "This watch is durable." Luxury says, "This watch changes who you are." That's why luxury advertisements feel weirdly cinematic. Slow music, cold faces, dark lighting, massive empty mansions, people staring out of windows like they're carrying emotional trauma. It almost feels less like advertising and more like emotional hypnosis, because they're not selling objects, they're selling identity. And identity is where human beings become vulnerable. See? Most people think they buy luxury because they like nice things. No, they don't. People buy luxury because of what they think it says about them. That's different. Very different. A $300,000 car is never just transportation. It's social proof. A luxury watch isn't just jewelry. It's silent communication. It says, "I matter." And humans are addicted to feeling important, way more than they admit. Actually, can I ask you something uncomfortable? Why do expensive things feel emotionally satisfying, even before you own them? Think about that carefully. Why does just entering a luxury store change your mood? Why does trying on an expensive watch suddenly make people stand taller? Why do some people post luxury items online literally minutes after buying them? Why does validation feel almost immediate? There's a reason, and once you understand it, you'll never look at luxury the same way again.
But before I explain that, you need to notice something first. The luxury world is weirdly obsessed with exclusivity, invite-only events, limited editions, waiting lists, private collections. At first it looks smart, but psychologically, it's genius, because the human brain becomes more emotionally attached to things that feel difficult to access. The less available something is, the more valuable it feels emotionally, not logically, emotionally. That's why people become obsessed with things they can't even afford. The brain starts fantasizing, imagining the reactions, the attention, the envy, and weirdly enough, the fantasy often feels better than reality itself. That's why luxury addiction never really ends. People think, if I finally buy this, I'll feel complete. Then they buy it. And a few weeks later, the excitement disappears, almost completely. Then the brain starts hunting again. Another watch, another car, another upgrade, another symbol. And social media made this cycle absolutely insane, because now people don't just experience luxury, they perform it. Everything became visual competition. Vacations aren't vacations anymore, they're content. Restaurants became photo shoots. Watches became personality traits. Even relationships started feeling branded. And honestly, half the internet isn't trying to enjoy life anymore. They're trying to look successful enough to avoid feeling invisible. That's the real addiction. not luxury itself. Attention.
You know what's crazy? Some people would rather look rich than actually feel peaceful. Read that again, because that sentence explains modern society better than most documentaries. And luxury brands understand this perfectly. That's why they don't target your intelligence. They target your insecurity, the fear of being average, the fear of not being respected, the fear of being ignored. And if you think you're immune to this, you're probably the easiest person to manipulate, because the strongest psychological systems are the ones people think don't affect them. Now here's where this gets disturbing. Luxury stores are intentionally designed to make you feel small. Ever noticed how quiet they are? Almost intimidating. Employees barely smile. Everything feels cold, minimal, controlled. That's deliberate. Because when people feel slightly socially inferior, their brains perceive the products as more prestigious. Even the waiting process is psychological manipulation. Think about luxury unboxings online. Why are millions of people obsessed with watching somebody slowly open a watch box? It's literally cardboard and metal, but emotionally, it feels important. Because luxury brands engineer rituals. The magnetic click of the box, the velvet interior, the slow reveal. Every detail triggers anticipation dopamine. And dopamine is dangerous because it's strongest before reward, not after. That changes everything. It means the chase feels better than the achievement, which explains why people keep chasing endlessly. But we still haven't answered the original question. Remember? What if the moment you crave luxury the most is actually the moment you feel the least valuable inside? Here's the answer. Luxury becomes emotionally addictive when people unconsciously use it to repair identity. Not style, identity. That's why the obsession becomes strongest during insecurity, after rejection, after heartbreak, after humiliation, after feeling invisible, after feeling behind in life. People don't suddenly crave status symbols randomly. Usually, something emotional triggered it first, and luxury temporarily numbs that feeling. That's why buying expensive things can feel weirdly emotional sometimes. Not because the object changed your life, because for one small moment, you escaped insecurity, you escaped ordinariness, you escaped the fear that maybe you're not enough. But temporary emotional relief is not confidence, and that's the trap. Because if self-worth becomes dependent on external symbols, you can never fully relax. There will always be somebody richer, better dressed, more exclusive, more admired, which means the race never ends. And maybe that's why some of the wealthiest people on Earth still look emotionally empty. Because status can attract attention, but it cannot heal insecurity. That's the part luxury brands never tell you. The dopamine fades, the attention fades, the excitement fades, and eventually, you're left alone again with the same mind you started with, just wearing more expensive symbols. So now I want you to answer something honestly. What's one luxury item you once believed would change your life, but didn't? Comment it below. Because the answers people avoid the most usually reveal the truth about them. And if this video made you uncomfortable, good. That means you're finally seeing the system clearly. Subscribe, because the next video exposes something even darker. Why modern success culture is secretly designed to keep people psychologically exhausted while looking successful online.